What's up, guys? I'm here with Jennifer from West Georgia Habitat for Humanity, and we're going to learn a little bit more about how this is a hand up, not a handout. Did I get that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us more about what Habitat is and how it all works and all that good stuff.
Okay, sounds good. So Habitat for Humanity is a global ministry.
Okay.
We're in 70 countries and every state within the U.S.
Okay.
Many affiliates. We each have a very specific geographic region that we serve. In my region is Carrollton and Harrison counties.
Okay.
So we are all under the umbrella of Habitat for Humanity International. However, we all serve our own board of directors, and so that allows us flexibility to kind of create programming within our areas that fit our communities.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine, like in a different country, different building requirements, for instance, or different availability of land and lots and things like that.
Absolutely. Even
Okay.
in the U.S., you know, we'll see affiliates in California that are landlocked. And
Gotcha.
then we have the opportunity, you know, we're sitting on 7 lots side by side right now to kind of build a mini Habitat neighborhood. So it does vary differently. Each affiliate with our unrestricted funds tithes 10% back to Habitat for Humanity International for our global ministries or for our disaster relief programs.
Okay.
Really important. When I first started in 2005,
Well, okay.
so it's been a few years.
Yeah.
I think we were building homes for $60,000. No, $50,000. So at that time,
Can you build a bedroom for that now?
No, we can't. At that time, our 10% tithe we were giving to Kenya, and you could build houses in Kenya for $1,500.
Wow. Okay.
So that 10% tithe, that $5,000, could build, you know, 3+ homes.
Sure.
In another country. So that's a really incredible part of the ministry, I think.
Gotcha. What does it cost to build a house now in Carrollton, Georgia?
Unfortunately, it looks like our next home build is going to probably be over $100,000. And
that's a 3.1.5?
It's 3.1.5,
Okay.
yes. We built a 3.1.5 this time last year.
Okay.
And we built that for $78,000. But cost of materials, material shortages, labor shortages, all of those things are drastically impacting the cost of building, as you well know, being in real estate.
Absolutely, and one thing to think about when you're hearing these numbers, you know, a lot of times some of the labor is volunteer, and the person that's going to be living there has to help. And the lot is usually either already acquired or donated or already owned, so
Yeah.
that the land cost isn't really part of that equation.
Yeah, we do, even any gift in kind donation is considered part of the equation.
Okay.
We will take out the, we had a beautiful donation from Phil and Luana Wilkins, and we actually had 10 lots donated, and we've
Wow.
built 3 of those 10 over on Avalon Drive in Carrollton.
Yeah.
So that $5,000 does come out of that.
Okay.
We have just, you know, been blessed in ways that the Lord has done things that I can't even imagine.
That's awesome.
For this ministry, and that's a lot of, you know, contractors that have stepped up to the plate. Jerry Driver of Driver and Associates built our first 33 Habitat homes.
Wow.
And he retired, and I called him and said, Southwire is going to build a home for us, and we're going to put one up next door at the same time. Would you come out of retirement and build 2 more? So he did that, and that was our 32nd and 33rd home. And then RK Redding Construction built 3 homes with us. Ray Lynn has built 2, and we'll be building again in this after the first of the year. So, and then it's all the subs. You know,
Yep.
It's all these plumbers and electricians and, you know, all these companies that are just so giving of their time. And then, of course, there's the material costs that we still endure. So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, one thing that I know we want to talk about today and is basically the ask. And I know that I recently just purchased one. You're selling bricks, and kind of a neat thing. You're selling, is it 100 bricks?
It's 400 bricks.
400 bricks, yeah. I knew it was a
400
lot.
bricks, and it's virtual. You will not have a brick with your name on going into a Habitat home. We do wood stud framing, so that's not going to be part of the build, but it is a virtual brick. If we sell bricks 1 through 400, and the brick that you choose to purchase or donate would be the dollar amount. So, you know, if you chose brick 157, it'd be a $157 donation. If we can sell all 400 bricks, and our goal would be to do that before the end of this calendar year, it would raise $80,000 for the ministry.
Gotcha.
So that'd be pretty huge.
And it was kind of neat too, like the last few bricks had some larger denominations for someone that wanted a little bit larger, you know, contribution or tax write-off or whatever it was, you know, being here at the end of the year when we're shooting this video, but you may catch it at a different time and there might be a different opportunity. So
Yeah.
that, and then do you guys still take in-kind supplies and materials. Is that still something you take?
Absolutely. It cannot be used products. So Habitat for Humanity International has a program called Restores.
Okay.
And those Restores open and they take in used materials, building supplies, home goods, etc. And then they resell that back to the community at a 30 to 70% discount. And then that money goes back into the Fund for Humanity to help build more Habitat homes. We did have a Restore in the Carrollton area back in 2007. The doors closed in 2008. We had a warehouse filled with stuff and we just did not have shoppers. So now in order to open another Restore, you have to be building a minimum of 2 Habitat homes per year. And in the West Georgia area, you know, working to raise $100,000, it really takes an entire year to raise those funds. And so we build 1 Habitat home per year right now.
Gotcha. And we're at 39 right now, is that correct?
39 will be built in the spring,
Okay.
and we are, this campaign to sell the 400 bricks is to fund our 40th Habitat home,
Wow.
which I think is a huge milestone. We incorporated in 1988, and so, you know, that's more than 1 home per year, so
Sure.
that's pretty impressive. And then we also, in the time that we're not building, we have a critical home repair program. And so we can go out to owner-occupied residences and look at doing work like ramps, building ramps, making stuff more accessible. We don't do roofing projects, even though those are probably the majority of calls that we get. But we do try to do as much critical home repair in those places as possible. And then we are right now, which is really important, we are currently taking applications for this 39th Habitat home. We've not selected the Habitat home buyer yet.
Okay.
And so if someone's interested, you know, that process is cyclical. We wait until we raise the $100,000 or whatever amount it's going to cost. And then we do put a call out to the community for anyone who's interested in trying to receive a Habitat loan, which is 20 years, no interest.
Wow. Okay.
So a $100,000 home is about $420 a month principal mortgage payment. And I don't know about you, but we don't see $420 mortgage payments in this economy, so it's pretty amazing. We also provide a stove, refrigerator, washer, and dryer, so all appliances and the newly constructed home, which is great. That's a generous donation from Whirlpool for every house built in the United States. Stove and refrigerator is provided. And then our affiliate happens to throw in the washer and dryer as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So going through that program, obviously, if someone is recommended or someone is, and then at that point in time, then they're selected, they're vetted, I guess, or whatever the process is. I imagine, you know, there's a lot of different things. There's probably some classes and some counseling they need to go through for financial wellness and some things like that that go along with that as well.
Absolutely. So part of our sweat equity requirement, which is kind of in lieu of a down payment, we have them do 100 hours of construction work. And they also go through some homeowner education classes. And then also we have them go through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. We just implemented Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University in the last 8 years. The 8 families that we had go through that program, we haven't had any significant delinquencies, which is pretty amazing. I think that that's, you know, a skill that's really important, and especially for low-income families. I think it's also, I kind of would like to tell a little bit about what it requires to become a Habitat home buyer, because you did mention there's a vetting process. So we are a qualified loan originator, so we have to go through kind of the same process that a bank would. They are going to be required to provide their credit report. We don't look for a credit score, but we do look at the credit report to make sure that their debt to income ratio is going to be within.
Can they afford it?
Yep, absolutely. And so for us, you know, bank financing, usually housing has to be less than 28% of your income. So your income's got to be a lot higher than it would be with a Habitat home. We go up to 30%. So when you think about a house payment of $420, I mean, it really kind of can be
30% of their income.
Absolutely. And we do serve 30 to 60% of the median household income for Carroll and Harrison County based on family size. And then they do have to have their debt to income ratio less than 43%. And we have a residency requirement. You have to have lived or worked in Carroll or Harrison County for at least 12 months prior to applying to make sure that it's not a transient family, but someone who's already vested in the community. And I think that's important as well. And so if they meet the residency requirement and they meet the financial requirement, then we go out and do a home visit and really assess what their need is for safety and affordable housing.
Sure. Just because I'm curious more than anything, obviously the money that comes back in, does it go back into West Georgia's habitat? So when you sell the house back at no interest, at least all that money after 20 years, that goes back into the budget to be able to build more houses.
Absolutely. The monthly mortgage payments are actually what is our operational budget.
Gotcha.
So at present, of those 38 homes that we've had a significant number that have paid off their mortgage in that 20-year period. Right now, I currently hold 22 mortgages.
Okay.
And so once the construction hat comes off, then I put on the hat of the bank and I become the lender. And so it's really interesting. I was talking to James about relational ministry, and that's kind of what Habitat is. I work with these families going through their sweat equity. I am their coordinator of their Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University class. We work hand in hand. And then when they become the home buyer, it's a lot harder to talk to someone that you don't know when you call a number and you're talking to your mortgage company and it's hard to even reach a person. I know these people intimately. We've gotten to be close over that period of time. So it's easy for them to call and say, Jennifer, this month I'm struggling and here's why. And we have a family support committee that can go in and work with them on their budget or work on whatever their needs might be. So they've kind of got a support system that you wouldn't have with a regular mortgage, and that's important as well.
That's very good. So it sounds like there might be opportunities for volunteers, for someone maybe they're not very handy with tools or have the time to commit to doing that, but maybe they have another skill set. Maybe it's with some counseling, or maybe it could be for some financial planning stuff or whatever. So I imagine you'll take volunteers for those kinds of things too, if someone is needing some help on trying to maybe put together a little more sound budget, or maybe it was before the Dave Ramsey stuff and they're been into it for a while.
Yeah,
that's good.
Absolutely.
So you take all kinds of volunteers.
Yeah.
Last question I really want to ask, and just out of curiosity more than anything, have you ever had to take one back locally? And I hate to bring that up. I'm just curious.
I think that's a great thing.
And then how does it work? Because I think someone that's making donations into this, they want to know, well, if they still have to pay to play,
Yeah, absolutely.
If they don't, they run risk of foreclosure like anybody else.
Yes, absolutely. And we follow the exact same laws that any other mortgage company does. Yes, in the time that I've been there, in the 16 years I've been there, we have foreclosed on one home. I will say this, though. The individual was no longer living in the Habitat home. He had actually had change of employment and had kind of a change of his financial situation, so he bought another home and he was renting out his Habitat home. We did not know that. So all of a sudden payments weren't being made, and when we went to evict, he said, well, it was just a rental property. So kind of just let it come back to the ministry, but we go in immediately. We rehabbed that house so it was like new, and then we placed another Habitat homebuyer family in that home.
Well, that's not too bad that out of that many you've only had that one default, and it really wasn't a default of loss. It was more of you were able to put it back in there and reestablish it at what the fair market was of the price then. So if it was built for 50, but it was more like 80, then you were able to put it at whatever the number was.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair market. So.
Yeah. So only one, and right now of those 22 mortgages I have, I think, our payments are due on the 1st of the month, grace period by the 10th. I have 2 people in November that have not yet made their monthly payment. So that's it. No one's over, 60 days late. So I think that, again, that speaks to the relational part of it. I think that people know that if they get into a bind, they can talk to us. We can kind of work through it. We just have a little bit more flexibility than a traditional banking system. And that's really, really what Habitat is we're bridging that gap from people who maybe are not working and don't have an income and really are receiving a lot of assistance, and those people that can qualify for a traditional bank mortgage. We're bridging that gap, and we're hitting the low-income families that are working, that want to have this, same dream of owning their own home come to fruition, but they can't qualify for bank financing because maybe their debt-to-income ratio is too high, maybe their credit score, they've had some past credit history issues, and I think that's where the ministry is so important.
Gotcha. No, makes total sense. And so a lot of moving parts to all this, a lot of opportunities, and a lot of good that you and your organization has done, locally, globally. And I think that's a really neat thing that we have here. It's another great aspect of living and working here in West Georgia. So I guess to let people know how to get in touch with you, and we're if they want to get involved financially, if they want to get involved with bringing their tools, or maybe they're a contractor, maybe they're a vendor, tell them how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So the easiest way to get in touch with me is always going to be to just call 678-390-6932. Our website is westgahabitat.org. And you can always email me at jennifer@westgahabitat.org. Love to hear from anyone. We do have a board of directors. Right now it currently has 8 people serving on it. We have lots of operational committees. Would love to have people get involved. And in the spring, when we are building, we will have certain days where volunteers are allowed. We would encourage people to go onto the website and fill out our volunteer skills survey so we can kind of decide where to place people. And then we have to, because there are so many people that want to get hands-on with Habitat, we do have a limited number of volunteer positions, so we kind of register people on a first to register, first to serve basis. I know you mentioned the bricks that were larger amounts, so I want to touch on that real quick. We are selling virtual bricks 1 through 400, but if you're on the donate site, you'll see that at the bottom we have bricks 1,000, 2,500, 5,000, and 10,000, and those are actually our Builders Club. So this is kind of, the 1 through 400 is building the financial foundation. The Builders Club are kind of our wall raisers, our roof raisers. Those are people who are giving annual gifts to support the ministry, and that all the money that comes into Habitat stays within Carroll and Harrelson counties.
That's great.
It also means I can only raise money within Carroll and Harrelson County, so I can't write big grants for some of these national organizations. So we're blessed to live in a community that is very giving. The West Georgia region is very giving. And we kind of have to keep that right here. So we are looking for 400 people to partner with us and or become a member of our Builders Club.
That's fantastic. So guys, end of the year, if you want to do something kind of cool, keep it local, buy a brick, and hopefully help out a family in need and help them become a homeowner.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jennifer, for all you're doing.
Thanks for having me, Rett.